Hey everybody, I'm Katie, and this is the Dryden Weekly Hangout. For those of you who are familiar with what Dryden is, turn your brains off for a second because here comes the introduction. So what we at the Dryden Experiment do is we create environments, science fiction environments, horror environments, fantasy environments, superhero environments coming soon. And rather than license them conventionally, we put them under a Creative Commons license, the BYSA 4.0 license. And what that means is that anybody is free to come in and develop in those environments, and they don't have to pay licensing fees to anybody. All they have to do is agree to put the settings and environments that they create under the BYSA 4.0 license as well, and then we all cross-promote each other. So what we get is we get big environments, Star Wars, Star Trek-sized environments that are free to use by any creative indie folks who are out there. Sort of what Google was trying to do, or not Google, but Amazon was trying to do with Kindle Worlds, except they're doing it wrong and we're doing it right. And then we cross-promote each other. So for example, in our science fiction universe, we have 6 or 7 books out now, and we have a role-playing game with expansions. First expansion already out, second expansion in development right now. We have a tabletop war game in that universe, and we've got some exciting projects coming in that universe that we're going to talk about a little bit more a little bit later. So that's just very briefly who we are. I started the whole thing, but I don't actually own the Dryden Experiment. Nobody can. It's under the Creative Commons, so I own the things that I produce in terms of books, but all of the settings and environments and everything are part of the Creative Commons. But then on the side of that, Tracy Vincent, who's here with me tonight, and Gavin Revitt, who's in Sheffield, England, and hopefully is sound asleep right about now. And I started a little publishing company that publishes materials exclusively for folks working in the Dryden Experiment. So if you're working on a project with Dryden, somewhere in the Dryden settings, but you're need editing, or you need layout work, or you need cover art, or whatever like that, we do those things so that we're able to produce really good quality finished materials in our environments. And that was a really detailed description of what's going on. So that's who we are, and we get together once a week just to hang out and chat. I have with me here tonight Eugene Kelly III and Tracy Vincent, the first and only. And we are expecting Kitty Sarkozy to stop in and see us tonight, which is really exciting. She's one of our authors, and it's always really nice to have a touch base with Kitty. So we're looking forward to that hopefully here shortly. All right, well, before we start, I like to let people sort of introduce themselves and talk about who they are. And so we're going from left to right across my screen. And on my screen, I see Eugene Kelly the third first. So Eugene, why don't you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what work you do with Dryden, and we'll go from there.
All right. My name is Eugene Kelly. I've been involved with several Dryden projects. So first one that's published was Rise of the European, which came out several months ago. Another one is a horror compilation for Nightmare, for the Nightmare universe, which has come out relatively soon.
Yep.
There's also a compilation for a character in the sci-fi universe called Okuda, which sometime down the line I'll have a story submitted for that. And then my main solo project is the beginning of a novel called Empire of the Carnivores. Now I'm not sure if Empire of the Carnivores is going to be the name of just the book, or the name of a series, or universe, or whatever. But right now, just call it Empire of the Carnivores, and it's may or may not be in the Nightmare universe. It may or may not be in Dryden. I'm still trying to think about that, but it's kind of a mixture of sci-fi and fantasy and horror and weird fiction all thrown together. And if you go to my Facebook page, my author Facebook page, which is just look up Eugene Walter Kelly III, author. I've begun to post little things dealing with some subject material, some other stuff, some documentaries dealing with some of the subject material. I'm going to begin maybe posting little blurbs from it, maybe a character description, and then also recently I got in contact with an author who I've known for a while, and I've there isn't any change of hands or anything yet, but I'm talking with him to commission him to do some concept art for this work. So as soon as that comes in, I'll be posting that up on my Facebook profile as well. And you'll probably also be able to see it on I think I'll after he posts his after he gives me the artwork, I'll also be posting a link to his Tumblr and DeviantArt, just as a way of support. He'll probably post them up there as well.
Awesome.
So also, there's kind of a short story I have in mind. I haven't started writing it, just something that flew in my head last night. I might just bang it out, but I'll see where that develops. But yeah, that's basically where I am right now.
Excellent. You want to introduce yourself to folks?
Yeah, what'd you say? Sorry, I've got a bit of
Yeah, I
a
didn't
lag.
hear that either.
Okay, sorry about that. Tracy, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah. My name's Tracy Vincent, and I'm an editor at Dryden House Publishing. I also have written a story that has been published through Dryden House, and it's in the Rise of the European. And I have a story that'll be published in the Lucio Cuda anthology when it comes out. I've also got a flash fiction piece that is going to be published with Mocha Memoirs Press called Diabolique. And I'm currently outlining a logger story, and I just started a short story yesterday called The Beekeeper.
I saw that. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and Tracy also runs an author page on Facebook. And Tracy, what is
Yes.
the name of that?
Tracy Vincent, author.
Aha,
It's kind
clever
of
name.
generic.
And what's the name of the blog that you run where you review books if people want to stop in and see you there?
My blog is Textual Love, and it's just a book blog. I review books of all kinds of genres and such, and authors.
So here we are, Tracy, getting towards the end of March. How many books have you read so far this year?
78, not counting for work. Wait, if we count workbooks, I've read about 92.
Very nice. Okay. And I also understand, Tracy, that you occasionally do editing work on commission,
I do. I have
independent of
a
Dryden.
Yeah. I do freelance editing, but I don't do a whole lot of clients outside of Dryden.
Awesome. And if somebody wanted to contact you for a freelance project, where would they contact you at?
They can contact me on my Facebook page.
Right on. Okay. Well, I think that we have offered up as much information as we can about the three of us. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Dryden now. Something terribly important has happened at Dryden in this last week. I don't know if a lot of you know, but there has been a competition to see who would end up with the first Dryden tattoo. Russell
I
Sawyer
won.
Yes, Russell Sawyer proposed one based on TerraCore, but then didn't actually get it. I will sooner or later get a very large Dryden tattoo all over my entire body, but I have not had the money to do it, and so Tracy Vincent has got the tattoo. Tracy, where would we go if we just had to see your tattoo?
You'd have to be on my friend's Facebook page, or you have to be a friend on my Facebook page to see it.
Okay.
Or
Well,
actually, you can look up Mainstream Body Art that's located in Madisonville. They posted a picture of it there.
awesome.
And the artist is Dirtbag Jack Hinton, and he's posted it on his artist page too. So
That's awesome. And this is a very cool tattoo because it is custom to not just the Dryden experiment, but to the Rise of the European and the story that Tracy wrote. Tracy, you want to tell the story behind the art and then what the art looks like?
So the story behind the art is I wanted to get a quote from my story, my first published story, and so I chose the quote death occurs to all life, Sadie. And the European actually tells her this. And it's also the first time the European recognizes another individual by a name. Otherwise, it's just a minion or, a cretin, a vermin and such. So this is the first time that the European actually recognizes an individual by a name, and he's telling her pretty much that he's saving this particular person for her to kill because this person is pretty bad. And sorry, my dog. Quiet. Sorry about that. And so I wanted a feminine type of tattoo of the European, because the European is the one who actually says the quote and then the quote. And so the tattoo artist actually, that we got together, and he pulled together like 4 images and actually created the European from 4 images of the particular pieces and parts of it that I liked.
That is awesome. And I think that is the first time that we've actually seen the European as an image. Of course, the book is all narrative, and I don't think we've had any written or drawn depictions of the European. So it's very, very cool. I encourage everybody to stop by and see the tattoo. It's a kick-ass tattoo, and it is the official first Dryden tattoo. And I want to say a pair of greetings. We have someone watching us externally. We have a viewer. So hi, viewer. If you'd like to come in and participate, message me over on Facebook, and I'll send you the link. But you're welcome to be watching us. And then someone has just joined us, the one, the only, the incomparable. Now, Kitty, before we start talking, I know that you were at Harry Potter World in Orlando this week, and before you tell us anything else about you have to tell us which house you belong to.
Oh, Slytherin, definitely.
You are a Slytherin. Okay, somehow I am not surprised. Your exterior persona is not Slytherin, but I've read the things you write, and I believe completely in the evilness of your soul. So, all right. So everybody, please welcome Kitty Sarkozy. Kitty, we're kind of doing introductions. Why don't you introduce yourself and talk about your relationship to Dryden?
Hi, this is Kitty. I've written, I was in Rise of the European. I did a story in there about day in the life of a guy whose planet's being destroyed by monsters. And I have 2 stories upcoming in Dryden Nightmares. And other than that, I have a collection on Amazon that's non-Dryden related. Right on. And I've been published a couple of other places, but not very many.
And what is the name of the collection you have out there on Amazon?
Treacherous Nature. It's
Treacherous Nature.
Horror, science fiction, a little bit of fantasy, and it's about the human relationship with nature and how it mostly wishes we were dead.
The Treacherous Nature is the collection that led me to try to bring Kitty into the Dryden experiment. That's some really enjoyable short fiction in there, and it is available on Amazon, as is Rise of the European. So you should definitely get out and check those out. And Kitty, I understand you're also occasionally a movie star. What
I'm an extra in movies periodically, but it's really hard to find me because of being an extra. I was in Ant-Man and Vacation, the newest National Lampoon Vacation, and Fifth Wave is coming out, and apparently, or maybe it already has. If it has, I need to go see it. Apparently, my scene in that one you actually can see, I've been told. So.
Awesome. That's wonderful. I had a friend who was an extra in a movie that had a wedding scene in it. And he figured out that nobody was paying attention to him, so every time they went to move the camera angle to a different angle, he moved where in the church he was sitting. So once you've noticed that he's there, he goes around the
so
church.
Funny.
Well, it's terribly inappropriate, but somebody who was doing continuity was not paying attention, and just every time they called the extras back, he figured out where the camera was going to be pointing this time and moved over there.
That is so funny.
Yeah. So it's the same sort of deal. It's just somebody in the crowd. You'd never notice them, just
Right.
crowd person. Except that once you do notice them, you notice that they are teleporting around the church as the wedding goes on, which
Oh, I
is
would love to see this.
the movie is called The Baxter. And unfortunately, it is a really horrendous movie, and so you'll have to suffer through it. But if you watch the wedding scene, that one tall guy just hops around the church as it's going on, as the wedding is going on. So,
That's lovely.
all right. Well, so how is your life? How are things? You're sort of our guest celebrity here this evening.
Oh, things are good. I just watched Severus Snape and the Marauders, so I had to have a good long cry over that. It's very well done, but it's tragic.
Right, right.
Um,
And
oh, go ahead.
what is your assessment of Harry Potter world overall?
They've done a really good job with the aesthetics. Like, if it wasn't for all the fucking people there, you would really feel like you were in Diagon Alley or Hogsmeade or Hogwarts Castle. Their work is beautiful. The goblins in Gringotts Bank, like, there was one, I just stared at him. I stared at it for probably 20 minutes because it was clearly an animatronic, but every once in a while it did something, like, you know how it has a pattern, an algorithm? Every once in a while, I swear it was doing something different, and there might have been a person in there.
Right.
It was really creepy.
All right, very good. That's awesome. There's in Mill Village there at Disney World. There's a fountain that is done in a spiral, right?
Uh-huh.
And you know how Disney gets off on fountains, so this it'll dance this way and that way, and then the spiral will run. Well, the kids get out there and play with it. Well, once every so many minutes, it does this thing that is entirely for the parents. And what it does is it starts to spiral all the way on the outside, and it goes in a ring all the way into the middle, right? And so all the kids chase it and run into the middle, and then when it gets to the middle, they all come on and just totally hose the kids down. And all of these tired parents who have been in one of the parks all day with their kids and their feet are killing them will sit there on the bench and it's like, yes!
That's great.
Yeah, just really some insight into the human condition in the development of that fountain, because every once in a while it does one for the parents. All right, well, we're just kind of doing our weekly chat and talking about Dryden things, so feel free to jump in and out and left and right and round and round. The first thing that we have coming is nightmares, which all three of you are involved in one way or another, so why don't we talk about nightmares? Nightmares has now had line edits, and it's had last content edits, and it went back out to you authors for a last look. Have you seen it, Kitty?
I saw the cover, and I downloaded the thing to read, but my I don't know what you call it. The person who dates my husband, who is kind of hot and who I have a crush on, was here all week. Well, not all week, but the last few days, so I didn't really have time to read. So
that's very sad. I totally did not get any of that except who's hot and I have a crush on.
Oh, sorry.
Someone of interesting significance.
Yeah.
Metamore.
Oh, Puck told me. My husband's Metamore.
No, she's yours.
She's my Metamore? Okay.
She's my paramour.
Oh, my husband's paramour was visiting, and she's my Metamore, and so I was busy staring at her boobs for the last 3 days.
All right. Well, as long as there's more petting in the Petamore, then I guess we're all going to be okay. All right. Well, I don't think that there were any significant changes to your stories, Kitty, but you need to just go back and look and make sure we didn't edit something to death. You know, occasionally the well-meaning moving of a semicolon will make something mean something completely different than what the author means. I think, though, that it's pretty safe to say that the Manic Pixie did not get edited very heavily because that story creeps the hell out of everyone who reads it and makes us all very fearful for Puck's health and safety. So I think that one pretty much got left alone because we're all a little worried about that story and whether or not it's possessed. we did edit the other one, and Eugene has a very interesting role in that book. One of the things that we do when we create our environments is Creative Commons environments is try to set a foundation for folks to build off of, and Eugene wrote us a very interesting. Well, I'll just let Eugene describe it. Eugene, tell us a little bit about the foundation that you set up for us in Nightmare.
Okay. Basically, the idea it was a concept that I've had for years, but Dryden really gave me a home for it. It was the idea that you had this multiverse of almost limitless universes, and they are all connected by basically they're kind of like veins, but they're called veins, but they're a network of portals that connect these different universes. And at the very center of this is a world where on both sides is this massive, massive black tree, and on the inside the tree is this kind of this poison that gets pumped out into the multiverse. And the more poison that gets pumped to a certain world, the more weird and disturbing that world is. And in addition to this, there are large numbers of there's lots of strange creatures. There's a whole pantheon of gods. But because it depends on how much poison it is, some worlds might be very normal compared to ours. Some of them might be very, 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 very strange. So it really all depends on how much this poison is going there, how large these portals opening up into it. So this allows for any type of horror story you want to write can be written. It does not have. It can be any type of horror stories. It's basically a multiverse that's almost unlimited in size.
Right on. So what we did, and an accident, we invited authors to send us horror stories that would fit in and become sort of the foundation stories for this weird multiverse. And what we got was exactly what we anticipated. We got a couple of stories that are very much a part of the multiverse. My story, Fluffy Sama's story, and Eugene's story are all sort of focused on the multiverse. But then Kitty Sarkozy's stories and Laura Conrad's stories are not. We can't really see the connection between the worlds that those stories happen in and the weird multiverse, which is exactly how it's supposed to work. But the other really cool thing that happened was that people sent us stubs of stories. These are the introductions to larger stories. In particular, Kitty, your second story, whose name is escaping me, the one that happens in Toronto, is clearly a piece of a much larger story. We finish that story and we go, okay, so what was that about? That was cool, but where's the rest of it? Laura Conrad also offered this just delightful teaser of this story with the buzzard. I'm like, okay, you have to explain that. That's like the first paragraph of the Dark Tower by Stephen King. You can't stop there. So it is a really exciting collection, and Tracy's going to hop in here and tell us about our release date because we are close. Well, the mute came off, but Tracy didn't start talking. She was having technical issues before, maybe still is. Let's see where we are. Are you coming to talk to us, Tracy? Nope, that didn't help. All right, well, I'm going to talk for a little bit about the release date. I have asked Tracy to pick us a release date and get us scheduled. We'll do a release day party. We'll have a Google Hangout. We'll have some flyer materials ready for all of the authors to hit the spam circuits with. She says late April. I think we typically release on Fridays, but Tracy will have to confirm that for us. And we are really there after it comes back Thursdays. We release on Thursdays, okay? So after it comes back from the authors the last time, we will package it up and ship it out. We're going directly to ePrint and not to paper, so that makes the release really very easy. We'll set up a pre-release on Smashwords. Tracy, correct me if I'm telling lies here. She's typing over in the chat box. We'll set up a pre-release over on Smashwords, and then when we actually release, we'll also release on Kindle at the same time. So it'll be available through Amazon. She says it's all true. And we will hopefully get ARCs out before that, Tracy, or we may be doing ARCs in the first week of April. Maybe. See what she thinks about that. Yep. Okay. So for those of you next week, okay, yeah, that's fine. We're ready for ARCs, so next week is fine. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what we're talking about with the ARCs, that's the advanced reader copies. Tracy has a pretty big network of other bloggers and book reviewers that she works with, and generally we get a pretty good response from them. We post up saying we'd like folks to read it for free, and we get 5 or 6 folks who will review it so that it has some reviews, especially out there on Amazon where everything is guided by metrics. You want to have at least a few reviews under your book when you release it. So we'll go to work on that. That'll also help us on Goodreads, where reviews help with your visibility as well, and a lot of people make decisions about what to buy right there on Goodreads. So that will be coming in April. It's the big drama that's coming in April. Then we should be in May, just less than a month later, releasing Alder's World 3. For those of you who don't know what Alder's World is, the Alder's World is the series of books that I'm releasing in our science fiction universe. I've released part 1 and 2, and I'm about to release part 3. And then after we do that, we'll release a full bundled version, which will be very exciting to see the whole thing together. We have seen draft cover art, but not layout, just art. And we are now in line edits, which is the long, slow edit that Tracy does because it would make me absolutely insane. And then she'll send it back to me and tell me everything that's wrong with the story, and I'll have to fix all that. But then we'll repeat the process in May, so that's very exciting, and we're looking forward to that. Book 1 is actually available free on Smashwords, so if you wanted to stop by Smashwords and pick up Book 1 of Alder's World, it's out there, and you don't got to pay nothing for it. After that, things get really interesting and exciting for us going into the summer. We are going to have one hell of a summer. Patrons and Vassals, which is the next expansion to the Big Damn Dryden role-playing game, will be coming out either in May or June. I'm kind of hoping in May we won't do as big a launch as we do with the books, because what it is setting up is the release of the rules expansion Charlie X, which Charlie X is how to drive race cars in the Dryden universe. The reason why that's important is because we are sponsoring a race car driver this summer. We are sponsoring Charlie Martin of Go Charlie Hill Climb. She's a race car driver in the European Hill Climb circuit. For those of you in the U.S., that's the Pikes Peak Run. They have a whole tournament and league and season in Europe for that type of racing. She drives a Formula 2 Renault, so it's a winged race car, and we have pictures already with the Dryden logo on it, and it's just so kick-ass to look at. I love that. As a matter of fact, I think she's in test weekend this weekend, or just finished test weekend, and that we're expecting to see video of the logo headed up the side of a mountain on the side of a race car anytime now. So that's really, really exciting. Along with that, we are doing a graphic novel that we'll imprint over in the fall after the racing season is over, about a fictional character, Charlie X, who drives LQF racers in our science fiction universe. So we've got this wonderful synchronicity going on with the real live race car driver, the graphic novel, and the role-playing game all coming out. And hopefully we're doing that whole thing as a promotion also for the Raleigh Durham Gaming Con run by Russell Sawyer. I don't know that that's entirely solid, but that's our intent. I had a wonderful sit-down this week with Kat Haywood, who is the artist. She's doing really, really exciting things. She came out with some sort of sample and test art that, you know, she's a great artist, but it wasn't really the picture. A whole lot of work. She was using this sort of intensive style that was taking a lot of work, and she and I sat down for about an hour and a half and produced 7 or 8 drawings just very, very quickly, trying to define our line art style and she's really doing fantastic things, and it's really, really cool. And I don't know how many of you know Kat, but she's just such a pleasant person to work with, and she does such great work. She was one of the artists in the Dryden Space Battles game, which is now available on RPG Now. So really, really great project going on. I have started looking for a indie game house, indie computer game house, to do us a video game to go with that. Sort of the idea is that a lot of folks have different kinds of racing games and race car games out there. Build one sort of for practice. And as much as we're looking for somebody to build an entirely new game, we're looking for somebody who will adapt the software that we've got and be the Carly X video game. I talked to Tri-Coast Games this week. I don't know if they're in. If anybody knows game or House Elf is for a connection there, and whoever it is would own the game and own their own revenue stream. So we're looking for an opportunity to share the publicity. So that's patrons and vassals. Dryden Alder's World. The things I want is the cybernetic space whales as a playable class. This spaceship was human creatures made in a role-playing game that's coming next month. So we enjoy the kind of business. Now we wait to see what Tracy types. Type. Doing all right because she does anything. All right. Well, Tracy's of the opinion we fine.
You want me to go?
Because are you?
Might be on Joel's end, Katie's end. Or Katie.
Oh yeah. It's happening at 2, Kitty?
Yeah, I heard like every third word you said. You were just going.
Yeah, same here.
That's terrible. Well, that means we've probably mostly lost this broadcast. Have I come back?
Yeah, now you're fine.
No, I'm fine. Okay. What's going on? Okay. Well, it looks like it's not the best night for Google Hangouts tonight. Got to all chat amongst yourselves, and I'll see if I can drop back in, and if it's any better when I do, that will.
Oh, not good.
Stop BS. Good evening. Your mouth won't move. I haven't heard a word coming out of your face. Okay, well, we're going to let this one go because we're having technical issues. I'll drop back and chat. Be done for the evening. But thanks everybody for stopping by for the Hangout, and I am out of here. Bye bye.
Bye.